Now, what's been the most significant outcome of this pandemic? It has busted the illusion that international organizations can stand up to China. They can't. This crisis has revealed the character of many global bodies and the dragon's grip on them. By now, the entire world is aware of China's influence at the WHO, a body that has only acted as a tool for Chinese propaganda during this crisis. We have extensively reported on this nexus for 4 months now. And not once did our concerns end at the WHO. We knew all along that this was just the tip of the iceberg. We told you that China's influence probably goes well beyond the World Health Body. And tonight, I want to share with you some revelations from our investigation. An investigation into how China has used and abused another multilateral institution. An institution which the world knows as the United Nations Human Rights Council, the UNHRC. Compromised. A body which claims to fight for the rights and well-being of human beings. Do you know how it has lived up to this purpose? By helping China keep an eye on dissidents. Let me take you back to the year 2012. A UNHRC official uncovered a secret and exceptional practice at the United Nations Human Rights Office. Her name was Emma Riley. In October 2013, she was forcibly transferred to a post with minimal functions. Why? Because Emma Riley found out that the UN Human Rights Office was leaking names of Chinese activists to Beijing. Why? Because these activists were planning to attend sessions of the Human Rights Council. The Chinese regime did not want them to. So a mail was sent to the Human Rights Office by a certain Mr. Chen Kan, an official of the Chinese mission at the United Nations. This mail had the names of some activists attached. What was the purpose of this mail? Did it violate rules? We put these questions to the woman who blew the lid off China's machinations. We spoke to the whistleblower, Emma Riley. This is what she told us.
I had just taken over the function in the Human Rights Council branch of being responsible for NGO liaison. And one of the first issues we had to deal with was a request from China to know whether specific individuals were planning to attend the session. And we'd faced similar requests before, and the answer had always been no. And at that point in time, a lot of emails went back and forth among senior managers at the UN Human Rights Office, debating whether or not China would be provided with this information. And I honestly thought it would never happen. The policy, the practice was very clear that if member states wanted to know about specific individuals, they had to ask in front of all the other member states.
The policies were clear, and they were clearly not followed. The Human Rights Office replied to Beijing within hours. Their response is on your screen. It specifically mentioned names of 2 activists who had been accredited for the UNHRC session. This was an exceptional act, an act in clear violation of all United Nations rules, and a practice which apparently was adopted exclusively for the Chinese regime. Listen to this.
The outcome of all of those emails was a decision by the chief of branch of the Human Rights Council branch that names should be handed to China and only China. It's clearly against the rule for the UN itself to be just secretly handing this information to China, and every other member state who asked was refused.
So China was given names of these dissidents. What difference did it make, you may ask? I'll tell you. It puts the families of these activists at risk. According to Miss Emma Riley, family members of these activists were arrested. They were tortured by Chinese agents. Some of them apparently even died in Chinese detention. These claims have been undisputed in Miss Riley's court cases.
Some of the people whose names were handed over very kindly provided witness testimony in my case. They described the Chinese government attending their family homes in China and forcing their family members to phone them to try to persuade them not to appear. In some cases, they were phoning them on mobile numbers that they hadn't shared with their family members for their own safety back in China. In some cases, people's family members were arbitrarily arrested, detained, tortured, and even died in detention, particularly in the concentration camps in Xinjiang.
It indeed was the opposite of what the United Nations Human Rights Council should have done. But how was this even allowed to happen? Why was no objection raised to this exceptional practice? Did M.I. Riley not report this to her seniors? We asked this question very specifically to her, and this is what she said.
I reported it to the manager who ordered it. I reported it to his direct superior, and I reported it to the then High Commissioner for Human Rights. When that was unsuccessful, I reported it to the UN's Internal Investigation Authority, called WION, the Office of Internal Oversight Services, and I reported it to the head of management, and none of them did anything. There has never been an investigation into this.
And it still hasn't. On your screen is a response by the United Nations regarding this. Allow me to quote. All ethics officers, after having diligently and professionally conducted their reviews, concluded that the information sharing did not constitute a protected activity under the retaliation policy. In simpler words, yes, we gave the names, but no policies were violated, no crimes were committed, end of story. It's been 8 years now. One can only imagine how this nexus may have grown in this period, the numerous names of activists that China may have managed to obtain from this Human Rights Council, the numerous charges these activists would have been detained under, the numerous crimes the Chinese regime may have committed against their families. Impartiality, justice, and universalism, these are said to be the core values of the United Nations, values that Chinese money seems to have compromised.